Hello there, it's Undead Viking coming to you with another video review of a board game. The board game in question today is Tahiti from Minion Games. Tahiti has not been published yet, it is in the Kickstarter program, but it does look like they're going to meet their goals. And hopefully, my goal in this review is to show you how the game is played, tell you what I think of it, and if you are interested, you will go to that Kickstarter page and you will pledge money towards the amount needed to publish the game. And if they're successful, the game is published, you will get a copy of that game sent to you. Tahiti is a game of pick up and deliver mechanics. You are a group of fishermen that live on the island of Tahiti, and it is time to go out and collect food for your tribe. You collect many different things, spices, bananas, fish, etc. And you are sent off to, in your little canoe, and you go out and collect those and bring them back to your tribe, earning points. The game is actually one of those games that is a tile-laying game, meaning that the players themselves create the game board, so it is different each time you play. And, there is a nice timing mechanic and there's a nice action point mechanic, which I will also explain to you when I go through the game process. Pick up and deliver games aren't something I'm really familiar with, so when I heard about this game, I was actually really interested in giving it a try, and I'm glad I did, because while I found the rule set to be fairly light, I found the game to be fairly enjoyable. But I'm getting ahead of myself at this point, so why don't I show you exactly how you play the game at Tahiti, and then I'll share with you my final thoughts about the game, and then at that point you can decide whether or not you think it's a good game for you, your family, or your group, or whoever it is that you happen to play your board games with. So, how to play Tahiti. Let's do it! Alright, this is the starting board for a 4-player game of Tahiti. I'm just going to explain quickly what each of these little things mean. This figure is the island goddess. You will move this on your turn. That will help determine where and you can place the new tiles that you draw when you create the chain of islands. These are the starting 4 islands. You can tell that because they have this little butterfly on them. These are sea spots. One has this giant whale that's as big as an island, so I don't know what it eats, but it must eat a lot. And you can see there's some fish in that one. That's just for decoration, nothing special. Just show you one of these island tiles real quick. The volcano on it doesn't mean anything. What is important is the reef. When you cross over a reef, there is a chance that you will lose some of your precious cargo. You can't sink or anything, but you might lose one of the items you've collected. And you can see here, there is a banana, and there is a coconut, and that's possibly what this island will have. It'll populate with some resources, depending on what is drawn out of the magical resource bag. But anyway, getting a little ahead of myself here. So that is how the game starts out. When you begin the game, each player will get a player board, and I'll show those to you here in just a second. And they also get one of these random tokens, which will tell them which resources are important to them, what they'll get bonus points for. So like taro or coconut, banana, spice, and so it is 2 of the resources that you have to collect. And you keep that secret, and notice that there are actually more than there are players, so I do like that. I hate the fact that in some games it's like it's a secret, and there's 4 of them, and there's 4 up to 4 players, so you know what the other 3 people are if you played the game more than twice or something. So I do like that there's more than just the 4 players. And I'm going to show you one of these player boards really quickly and explain to you what you see on this board before I show you the mechanics of the game. Alright, so here's the turn sequence. Always nice to have that. And once again, like I've said in almost every single one of these Kickstarter videos, the stuff I'm showing you could very well be exactly like what the finalized art is going to be, or it could be just a really reasonable facsimile, or it could look nothing like it. So please don't hold me to that. But you see that here are the 5 different types of resources that you collect. Bananas, taro. It's a pineapple, right? Taro, pineapple. Anyway, bananas, coconut, fish, taro, and spice. And this represents your canoe up here. Now, you will place the cubes that you collect in these locations. You can't ever cover up this dude here. You always have at least one rower. Now, depending on how many rowers you have available, that's how many actions that you'll have in a turn. So, you can have 2 things in your canoe and maintain 4 actions. But as you collect more, you will lose actions. And it is also important to note that if, like, say, you can lose and gain actions as the game as your turn progresses. So say you had both of these filled, so you have 4 actions, and then you go to an island, and which has 2 resources, and you collect 2 resources. So bam, bam, meaning that you have two actions left. Now you might have started on that island and had 4 actions, so you take those actions, but those eat up actions as well. So what I mean by that is that you can't ever, like, just because you start with a certain number of actions before the turn begins, if you cover up your rowers, you can actually lose actions during that case. And then by the same example, you can actually gain actions. If you had every single one of these spots filled and you were on the main island and you dropped off all of your goods, and that takes 1 action because there's always helpful workers on your island that are willing to unload all your goods. So you have 1 action. You'd unload everything, but then you'd free up 3 more actions. So you unload, and all of a sudden you get 3 more actions, and you can leave. I really like that. It's part of that planning, and I like planning games and things like that. So I really like that that's available. But anyway, getting on to the scoring really quickly. As you cover these up, you will eventually, as you see, it's an increasing scale. You'll earn points, for that. So if you had covered up, say, up to here in spice, you'd earn 4 points at the end of the game for spice. And if you complete a set, you notice that there's bonus points up here for completing a set, +1, +3, and so on and so forth for completing a set. And finally, up here in this hut, remember those cards we drew at the beginning that stated, which ones, like coconut and banana. If you have the most coconut out of anybody, and this was yours, you gain +5 points. If you have the second most banana at the end of the game, you'd earn this point. If you didn't score neither, you'd get 0 for them. So that's how the scoring works. And like I said, you'll use this and you'll have this in front of you, and very functional, very cool. And like I said, the actions over here is kind of nice just to have. So, all right. Just quickly going over exactly how the game works. On your turn, you will place an island. You place an island by moving the goddess, say like moving the goddess there. And now I draw from the deck of tiles that are available. You draw the top one, and I'll look at this. And I'll say, okay, well, it's got the spice and the coconut. And, well, I need coconuts, so I'm going to place this over here somewhere. Now I see there's a coconut right there, and so maybe I can get 2 coconuts if I set this up correctly. So I go ahead and I place it here. I have to place it in an open location that is next to the goddess. You don't have to move the goddess on your turn. You can leave them exactly where they are. The only time you have to move the goddess is if they're in a location where they aren't next to any portion. So I placed that one there, so now I have this island that's next to that. I've made the reef so like I can maybe move easier in that direction. And then I'll just say my blue ship was out there, and on my turn now I will be doing the seeding the island. Now, as long as the goddess is out there, and the goddess stays out there until you've used up all the tiles, you draw 3 from this bag. I'll draw 3 cubes, and we'll look at them. Alright, I got 2 pink and a brown. So now I got a brown, which is good because I need coconuts, right? So I'm going to go ahead and place that one there. And then 2 pink, well, let's go ahead and put a pink there because maybe I'll head there eventually. And let's go ahead and put a pink there so I can maybe snag those as well. So now I will take my actions. Like I said, I have an empty canoe, so I get 4 actions. Paddling your canoe 1 space is an action. So we will paddle this way, and here's my board, and I will collect that coconut. I'll place it in my canoe like so, and that is a second action. Now I still have 2 actions left, so I will paddle my canoe this way, and I'm not going to take that pink cube because I have 1 action left. Instead, I'm going to go fishing. And to go fishing, there are white cubes in this bag. And let me just, I'll prove it by drawing a bunch, and I'll see there's a white cube there. If I can reach in here, I get to draw 2 cubes, and I get to see if I get lucky and get a white cube. If I do, that means I fished successfully. You can fish anywhere on the board except for the main island in the middle. So let's just go ahead and... I didn't bait my hooks or something like that, so I didn't catch anything. Now, if I had another action left, what's really cool is that I can take these 2 cubes and for the time being, set them aside, and if I'm going fishing again on the same turn, I can draw again. So let's see if I get lucky this time. I didn't get any fish. So, I can't place any fish in my boat, and I cover that up, and that would be my turn. And this goes around the table, and each person takes a turn, and so on and so forth, until eventually you will get done with all of these. You'll have placed all of these. I'm not going to show that because that would be really lengthy and I would bore you. But there is one thing that you do after all those are gone. Once all of those are gone, you take the goddess off of the board, as I mentioned, and now you draw on your turn, and the last thing you do after you're seeding the island and everything, and you only draw 2 when you see the island after that, you will draw from these little tokens. And you'll draw one, and these are called closing an island. As long as there's an island that has resources normally would be available, but aren't available right now, you grab one of these and you turn it over, and some of these will have a little fish on there, and I'll explain that in a second. And then you place that on an island you just closed down. Now that island can no longer produce goods. Maybe I put it here because there's no coconuts on there, because I'm trying to get coconuts, right? So I placed it on there. Hopefully somebody is really trying to get a lot of pineapples or taro or spice, and so then that one no longer works for them. Now the interesting thing is that towards the end of the game, a lot of these cubes are going to be gone, but there's going to be lots of fish in here, because nobody will catch a lot of fish until cubes are taken out of here. But if you draw when you're seeding, you actually will place a fish on that icon, meaning that people will be able to collect fish. And if you notice on the player board, if you don't catch enough fish, they're actually worth negative points. You have to catch 3 fish before you actually start gaining points for having fish on your island. So finally, after you've distributed all of these tokens, there will be only 4 islands left that have no token on them, and that's when the game ends. If you end with your canoe still having goods in it, you automatically get to get those back. So if you're trying to race to get back, you don't have to. You can just do a mad dash as you know the game is coming to an end, and you can try to get as many resources as you possibly can in your canoe. You take all your stuff, you count up your points that you got, you count up your bonus points, if any, and also for your sets, and whoever has the most points wins the game, as you probably would have surmised. And that's how you play Tahiti. There is one thing I didn't show you, and I'm going to explain that really quick. If you go over a reef, say like from here to get home, I've gone over 2 reefs, you actually have to draw cubes out of the bag and see if you draw something that is actually on your canoe. So like if you drew these and you actually had these resources on your canoe, it's considered to be like they fall off because you're going over rough seas, and you lose those resources, meaning reefs kind of stink, and you'll find yourself really going out of your way to get around those until later on in the game, when maybe time is of the essence, or you're pretty sure your chances of not losing your goods, you're willing to risk it. But nobody really does that at the beginning of the game because there's so many cubes in the bag, and if you have a wide variety of the resources on your canoe, you'll lose them. I should also mention, I forgot to mention this, I do apologize, that when you're placing your resources on your canoe, you can either place as many resources of one type as you want. So I could put, if I could somehow get like all coconut on my ship, and if I could somehow get 5 coconut on here, I could have 5 coconuts on here. Otherwise, the moment that you take another resource, like so, like you have this pinky guy there, now I couldn't pick up another pink. I would actually have to get, other resources. I would have to get, a rainbow of resources before it would be valid for me to take what I want. So you can have, as I said, like a one of each. That's a white. Sorry. You could have a one of each color, if you will, but you couldn't have a situation where, say, instead of that, you had two greens. That would not be a valid boat. I don't know, and that's good because in a way that makes people diversify instead of just having somebody say, well, I'm just going to max out bananas and that's all I'm going to max out bananas and coconuts. I'm not going to worry about anything else. Well, you really can't, kind of thing. So, and that's important to note also because it just adds another little twist to your routes that you're trying to create and follow. And, and it works really well in the game. So, but let me tell you exactly what I think about Tahiti. Never had one juggling lesson in my entire life. Alright, so, what'd you think? It's a pretty light game. I mean, there isn't a lot to it. I mean, I guess that's wrong. I shouldn't say there isn't a lot to it. There is a lot to the game, but it isn't exactly a brain burner, if you catch my drift. I mean, you do have to kind of plot out your movement as far as, how many workers or how many rowers, I shouldn't say workers, how many rowers do I have on my boat? Is it worth it for me to pick up another cube? Am I racing for that particular resource? Is that person going to be wanting to take those? That sort of thing. And it is fun to kind of plot that out. There is a nice little risk-reward tactic there as far as setting up the reefs, if you will. In my experience, I didn't find that we took a lot of chances when it came to the reefs, as far as unless you had a pretty good idea that you weren't going to be drawing those cubes out that make you lose what you have. And because of the fact that nobody ever really sets up a path that's actually like poor, because by and large you're all going to be going the same route most of the time because the way that the board is set up. It's kind of tough to turn the goddess around and make her go in a different direction. So in our games, at least, the archipelago or archipelago, kind of ends up going the same way. And there might be a little balloon here or something like that, but you always end up kind of always in the same direction. So not a lot of, at least in my experience, not a lot of people actually end up in a situation where they're putting a tile down that's going to hammer somebody by making them go over a reef. It just doesn't seem to happen that often. But like I said, as the game progresses, you kind of learn that I don't think there's a lot of fruit left in the bag, so I'm pretty sure I'm okay, and then you'll reach it and you'll take your chances. And I do like that. I mean, because it means the game kind of changes as the game goes on. And that's probably like one of the things I really, really like about the game is that towards the beginning of the game, the world's kind of your oyster. You're placing those tiles down. And you got lots of different options. And then when you get done putting the tiles out there and the resources start drying up and you're racing for those last few cubes that are going to complete your sets for those extra points, that's when the game really gets fun, in my opinion. Because, and I like that. I like the fact that it has a nice little timed race mechanic, if you will. I mean, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like it does you any good to really fish right away unless you just have a throwaway action that you can do. But because, towards, like I said, in that second half of the game, there's going to be fish available on those islands, for one. And for two, it's like, there's going to be tons of white cubes left in that bag. So you can just take the fishing action and you can, obviously, more likely than not, you'll be drawing fish. But, like I said, once again, the game kind of changes on you, and so you kind of learn that about the game. And I really dig that. I think, once the final version of the tiles and everything come out, I think this game is going to look beautiful. I like the art direction they're going to go. And like I said, it is a lighter game. I'm not expecting this to, make me, just sit there and agonize over my turn. And this is a game that I've enjoyed with my friends as a nice, as a warm-up or a cool-down, for a heavier, meatier game. And for that purpose, it works perfectly. And plus, for casual gamers, I think they'll really enjoy this. I played this with my wife, and she really likes it, and I played this with my dad and his wife, and and they really enjoyed it too. So if you have those casual, non-hardcore gamers that that you are wanting to appeal your hobby to, maybe this will foot the bill. So there you go. That is Tahiti. I'll provide the link, for the Kickstarter, page. You can go there and you can, if you decide this is a game that you can want, I urge you to go ahead and back the game. So once it is published, you're one of the first people to actually get a copy delivered to your door. So. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch my video reviews. I appreciate that very much. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. Until next time, this is Undead Viking.